Well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Craig Walls. Craig. It's the legendary Craig Walls. Hey, man, it's great to see you. You're one of the, I don't know, I hate to use the term goat, but it's all I can reach for at the moment. Not enough coffee in the brain. One of the goats, right? Like one of the greatest of all time spring humans and Java humans, Java people. So it is very good to see you.
Well,
Um,
good to see you, but
I've
I don't
been
know about any of all that you just said, but okay. I'll
No,
take
it's
it.
true. You ask any woman or man on the street, and
Well,
and like,
quite
hey,
literally,
who's
let me tell you a story real quick.
yeah,
Um, my oldest daughter just started a new job as a dental assistant, as I understand it. I think that's what she's doing. And she was working with a patient. Her first day was on Monday, but on Tuesday, she was working with a patient whose name I don't know because of HIPAA reasons. But she was working with a patient, and they were talking, and she just making chit chat said, "What is it you do? What do you do for a living?" And he said that he's a software developer. And she says, "Oh, my dad does that." He goes, "Oh, yeah, what does he do?" And she kind of said, "Well, I don't really know exactly, but he's also written a book." And he said, "Oh, what book is it?" And she said, "Spring in Action." And
oh,
he's like, "Oh, Craig Walls is your dad?"
oh God, that's so cool. Small world,
So
but also,
random Joe on the street knows or at least at the dentist office knows who I am.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're like a legend, and you and I have been. I'm gonna out us, okay, Craig? I'm just gonna go ahead and just tell everybody. I feel like we're at that stage in our relationship where we can be honest about this. We both love Tortilla tacos, and you're the instigator. You're the reason for this problem I have. Uh, so now whenever I go to Colorado or Texas, uh, I don't know if it's are tortillas anywhere else besides Dallas in Texas.
I think they're. I mean, I think they originated in Austin. They were a food truck.
Okay. Oh, forgive me, Austin. I didn't mean to snub you.
So
But
they're
anyway,
all
tortillas
over the place
tacos.
in Texas for sure. And there's several here in Colorado, and I'm sure there's other locations too, but
Right.
I don't
And
go to those locations.
there, I think you introduced me to them in Texas many years ago, more than a decade ago. I don't remember what the context was. Maybe it was a
It was
spring
spring
one
one.
or
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Because you're quite the traveler yourself, so who knows where we could have overlapped. But yeah, probably spring one, I've just had this like it's a problem. There's no like Torchies Anonymous or anything, but um, it's just really a problem. I don't know how if anybody else has tried it, but if you have, don't. Sorry, if you haven't, don't.
There's
Save
a
yourself.
some on their napkin holders. On some of them, they say, well, their slogan is "damn good."
Yeah.
But on some of the napkin holders I've seen, it says "damn good." It's not a slogan; it's a warning. Addictions are expensive.
It's very expensive and ridiculous. And it's like I sometimes I'll have a meeting with some customers or whatever, or there's a conference. Dallas, as you know, is they call it the Metroplex, and there's a reason. It's not they don't want you thinking it's a coherent city. It's like LA where I come from. It's not one city, it's 20 grafted together by these insane long stretches of highway. So you could actually be 10 miles away from Torchies, in Friday night traffic or whatever in that city.
Right.
And that's what you're gonna do for the next hour is be on your way to get Torchies. It's just a fact. So anyway. Anyway, thanks for that. You shake of the fist to you.
Doing my
It's the
part
best way.
to share the addiction.
Gosh, I took some of our people. They were with me to go visit some customers. I took some of our people there. I shan't name names, not for HIPAA reasons, but for taco HIPAA, whatever that is. Like, I took some of them, and they are also of the persuasion now of the taco, the Torchy's persuasion now. So, mm, oh, that's so good. I'm sitting here thinking about it right now. The other thing I'm thinking about is, the I, have you been programming mostly on the weekends to optimize your Claude tokens?
No, I've not been. What is it? Token maxing is the term. I've not been doing that. But I do a lot of coding on the weekend, yes. But I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. A lot of the things like Claude Code and Cursor and those kinds of things, the coding assistants. I do appreciate them as tools, but I struggle with them a
Yeah.
little because I'm, old dog, new trick kind of thing. I like
Yes.
writing code. I don't like letting something else write my code.
Right. It's like sitting down for dinner and then letting somebody else eat the plate that I just
Yeah,
poured myself and made myself. No, give it back. It's mine. That's what I'm here for.
exactly.
And yeah, it's like sitting down for torchies, to take it all, turn it all back around. I am like you, I think, in that respect, because I reach for it like a much better Google. I don't start with it. I reach for it when I'm at a impasse.
And there are
Uh,
things that I don't like doing. I know exactly how to do them. I
right.
don't want to do them. I'll ask it to do those things. But when it
Yeah.
comes to
Just don't.
writing, the bulk of the code, no, I still want to do that myself.
That's because you know what good looks like, and I'm sure you've had this even more than I. But the my sense of things is that the coding assistants are quite good at the things. They're useful in terms of things where I'm not already good.
Hmm.
Not that I'm good, but I'm saying in the places where I have some uh, profinity of like experience or whatever. Because they, by definition, they're not going to give you the best code on the internet. They're going to give you run of the mill 50% average, because it's a average of all the code it's ever seen on the
Right.
entire planet on the internet, right? So by definition, that code isn't going to all it's not going to all be made of the best stuff. You might even get field injection and other terrible patterns you wouldn't want in your system. So excuse me. So yeah, it's not. I don't like it helping me with my Kotlin and Java code because it just doesn't know. Like it's like that. What's that TV show? Ron Burgundy, not Ron Burgundy. Is it
Oh,
Ron
yeah.
Burgundy? Who's the guy I'm thinking? Going to
Are you-
Home Depot. I know better
I-
than you, or I know more than
I'm
you.
blanking. Yeah.
Is that Parks and Recreations? I'm trying to remember. Ron. Yeah, Ron Swanson, not Ron Burgundy.
Yes.
Ron
Thank you.
Burgundy's the character.
Yeah. Burgundy's Ingerman.
Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second, my friend. This is kind of an emergency phone call. 1 second.
I'll talk amongst myself. I'll wait till Josh comes back and then I'll finish a sentence so that he missed something. And so that's where
Hi
I
there.
hit a
Sorry about that.
hole.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Kind of an emergency phone call there. Um, uh, uh, okay. So anyway, the experience I've been having is that these code assistants don't actually help me in the things where I have some experience, but for everything else, which is the very large majority of things, obviously, where I am not proficient or even uh, average, then yeah, it's an elevation of the quality of my output. But
I had
by
one.
definition,
Yeah, I had a couple of situations where, like, for example, I've tinkered with writing iOS apps before. I wouldn't consider myself an iOS developer, but I've tinkered with it. But one day I really wanted something, and it wasn't so much the experience of creating it. I just needed a thing. And so I had it help me do that. And that was a
yeah,
fun experience. And got something out of it that I could use. I have this little device that you can program, and you have to program it in either C++ or Python. And C++ is considered the path of least resistance. And it's been a few years since I've done anything significant in C++. Plus, I'm not familiar with its SDK, and so it helped me do that, get something pretty far pretty quickly. But if I'm writing some Spring's Java stuff, no, I want to do that myself.
Right. Yeah. No, it's more fun. Plus, I like the feeling of like having, yeah, conquered the process or whatever. You started with a goal and you achieved it. It's euphoric, right? It's like that
Mhm.
meme we saw a few years ago. People said, I saw this thing circulating on the internet. I'm not sure who originated it, but we wanted AI to help us with the dishes and the vacuuming and the taking out the trash, but instead it's doing all the art, the music, and the poetry.
Right.
Uh, all the fun stuff. I used to tell people, rather hyperbolically, but still correctly, that writing code was the best addiction because it triggers some of the same synapses in the brain as like actual drug addiction. But
Right.
you get paid for it instead of having to pay for it, right? It's a much better deal, and it's a heck of a lot healthier compared to
Right. And
actual
I,
drug
I
use.
struggle. I had a couple of people tell me within like a 24-hour period, I had more than a couple, a few people say, yeah, vibe coding, working with these coding assistants, that's just like pair programming, but instead of a human, it's something else. No, it's not. It's very different than pair programming. If I'm sitting
Yeah,
down pair programming with someone, they're either watching me or I'm watching them. I'm learning from it one way or the other. Even if I'm the one typing, they're going to be asking me questions like, why are you doing that? Or where are you headed? What are you doing? And I learn from it. But when working with a coding assistant, I tell it to do something and it just goes off and does it. And the only learning is when I go review what it did, which is usually less effective than actually being part of it.
right. Just want to like, and I know some people now have they're using agent orchestrators, like even Claude, the new Anthropic Claude desktop, uh, can now act as a central hub for you to launch and then check in on the progress of these sort of workers, these agentic workers. But people are using it as a sort of, you start there. That's your Grand Central Dispatch, Grand
Right.
Central Station, and you start talking to the AI and say, okay, you go off, do that, do this, do that, and I'll just sit here and sip my coffee, which sounds like you know, we've seen study after study. It's not more productive, but it feels more productive, right? People
Yeah,
feel like they're
something's
doing more.
happening and I'm not doing it. So I guess that means I'm being productive.
Right. So all this to say, I think AI is super useful, but I think the most interesting application of it is sort of in the applications. It's in our code, and if I can, I think of all the trivial stuff but not just the average chatbot, although that's kind of interesting if you can do a good job of it. But it's the sort of, I need a little bit more intelligence in this little corner, that kind of thing.
Right.
How do I do that, right? And so, like, can I pull in the AI and have it figure out whether this field is formatted valid in a correct way in this arbitrary text from user input? Maybe. Why not? It might be expensive, but I can do. So I'm always interested in ways to apply it in my application. And these days, I think the best toolkit for that is Spring AI. And you've got a book on this very topic.
Turns out I
Uh,
do. Yes, it's
is it out yet? It looks like it is. If you're reaching for something,
looks like
it's
this.
out. Oh my gosh. Spring AI in action. This is a book. This is a very good book.
It covers the 1.0 Spring AI. Sadly, or excitingly, however you want to take it, Spring AI 2.0 is at milestone 4 as of today, and it's got some awesome stuff that my book just doesn't cover. But
What is
that's
it? What does it have?
I'm sorry.
What does it have?
It has a lot of really cool MCP stuff. Specifically,
Oh,
it has all the MCP annotations, and it has a lot of cool agentic things in it. I kind of, I'll be honest with you, I kind of, mentally, it's blurred for me what's actually part of Spring AI versus what's part of the Spring AI community because things keep
right.
moving back and forth. But there's a lot of cool new things out there. Like one of the most interesting ones to me, although I haven't really explored it too much, is user question. Was it user question advisor? Is it an advisor? I think it is.
Question answer advisor.
Question answer advisor.
Yeah, that one's weird.
No, not that one. I'm sorry. It's Not that one. I know what you're talking about. That's for like rack things. This one is one where you can, if it's all hooked up, you can ask it a question, and if it needs more information, it'll turn around and ask you questions and to get more info. And
Oh, okay.
it's pretty cool. It's been a minute since I've tinkered with it, but that's why I can't remember its name off the top of my head. But it's kind of interesting how it comes back and just ask follow up questions to kind of get enough information from you to be able to address the task that you ask it to address.
Right.
And that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it
And
is cool. What is it called? I'm trying to remember. I know what you're talking about, but it's a
I'm totally blanking on its name.
agentic flow.
I know how to find out.
Yeah.
I have a notebook of all sorts of stuff.
Well, anyway, okay, that's probably in the Spring AI community stuff.
Yeah, probably. But yeah,
Not
there's
elicitation, but that's cool
there's
too. That's an MCP feature.
yeah, and yeah, all sorts
Thanks.
of. It's like elicitation, but that's an MCP feature. Yeah,
Yeah.
like kind of like that, but not from an MCP perspective. It's just a simple part of the chat when you're talking to it. It'll come back and ask questions. But yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of what happened in 2.0 was a lot of the kind of the updating of how you do MCP, and
Yeah.
that was some really awesome stuff.
Yeah. I know that we've got the new MCP annotations. The MCP SDK itself has grown quite a bit in the last year. And then of course Spring Boot 4.0 integration or
Oh
compliance
yeah,
or
that was a big thing.
conformation. But yeah, I think right now there's a lot of good stuff in Spring AI itself. But for me, the most interesting place to be is the like you said, the Spring AI community GitHub organization, because you have all these I think the security stuff is just for MCP.
Oh yeah,
Oh, come on,
and
that is so cool.
it's pretty easy to set it up too. It's not like it's a big burden to set it up.
Nope, just 5 beans across
Yeah.
3 different pieces total. 5 beans total. I'm a big fan of that. The skills support. Have you been playing with skills?
Yes, I have probably. In fact, I wrote a little bit about this while I was waiting to get on my plane last week. I have an opinion about, and I usually don't put opinion pieces out, but I was like tired of hearing this argument of skills versus MCP, and
Yeah.
that was. I'm just tired of that argument because it's not
Right.
a either or. It's not a mutually exclusive thing. In my opinion, it's yes, skills can do things if you provide code to them. If you provide little scripts, little
Right.
snippets of code, it can run those things and do stuff for you, and that's neat. But at the end of the day, those things don't work unless there's a tool for them to actually be executed through, because the skill itself does not run them. Some tool does, and if you're going to have tools, then now we're back in the realm of what MCP does.
Right. Just have the tool.
And so, in my opinion of it, was already kind of formed this way anyway. And then I saw an article on the Goose blog that basically said it better than I had formed it in my head. And they basically stated that MCP gives you the ability to do something, skills gives you the instructions on how to do those things.
Right. And it weights it heavier than the knowledge it probably already has.
Right.
This has been the perennial problem is how do you demo, for me as a person who does demonstrations, I want to demonstrate RAG, which is to say I want to give the model access to data it doesn't already have. But for a frontier model, I mean, you have to really you have to find something very proprietary for it to not have it. I mean, by definition, it's going to have just about everything.
Which is why I chose, for the example in my book, I chose to base it on board games, because yeah, it knows what Carcassonne is. It's not, and it may even know some of the rules, but it's not really good at it. But if I give it the rule book for Carcassonne, it can answer questions about the rules. And for games that just came out that it wasn't trained on, it can do that.
And that's why and so the skills are a great way to do that, to give it that, you can prove it. If you want, people can try it. They can give their model access to a skill, and in the skill, say something that is contradictory to what the consensus is on the internet, like, all dogs have wings or something, and that will weigh heavier than the knowledge it has otherwise. So it's very interesting. It'll actually confirm, yeah, dogs have wings, which
Yeah,
is
I have a
interesting.
skill that I used is just a stupid, simple, just slightly more interesting than Hello World skill
Right.
that I use as a quick example of what they can do. And in that one, it's there to answer the question, what is the best ride in Disneyland?
Oh,
And doesn't
so
matter
is there a
what,
single one?
because, well, that's the thing, is if you were to ask any sort of model what that question is, it's going to basically tell you, well, that's subjective, and it gives you all these, things that people like, and you're not going to get a real answer. But with my skill that I've created, it'll always say haunted mansion, and it'll
Okay.
explain why is because the song Grim Grinning Ghosts is what makes the attraction so fun. I mean, I just sort of made that up. Even though I do agree that I like the song and I like the attraction, it's one of my favorites, but it always answers that no matter what. If you have that skill,
Grim grinning ghosts.
Grim Grinning Ghosts.
Huh.
That's the song you hear throughout the entire ride. It's in different
Well,
forms, like it's an organ, a real slow organ form at one point, but when you get to the graveyard, it's more of a jazzy thing with lyrics and everything.
okay, sign me up. I'm excited. I've got it. I've got it bookmarked. I'm not going to play it here for people who are wondering because I do not want to get copyright struck, but just trust that it's out there. Um, okay, so huge. I'm a big fan, right? The skills is really interesting. People are using skills in Spring AI or just using it from your cloud desktop or
No,
whatever.
from Spring AI. I mean, I've
Yeah,
done both, but it's more interesting to me in Spring AI.
right. To tailor the behavior of a program you wrote, which gets us back to the first premise of this whole conversation, which is building systems that take advantage of AI as opposed to using AI to build systems. I think is way more fun,
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Agreed.
uh, and I do think there is. I mean, we just everything we've just talked about. We're talking about our interactions with our Spring AI applications, and there's also the interactions with the AI through other means, right? Our Spring AI application is the agent that orchestrates these AI models, and increasingly, I think right now the best uh, bang for the buck is integrate AI in the places where our existing integration flows and interactions are. And I think that's twofold. First of all, that's where people are going to be looking for them in the first place, is as improvements to things they already know, as opposed to completely new uh, workflows. Put another way, there's that MIT study that came out last year and suggested something like 90% of all AI projects fail. And it's because these AI integrations that people are building are sort of they're adjacent to as opposed to
Mhm.
integrated with existing workflows, right? They're
Yeah, your
they're
business's domain is built into these applications that you've
yeah,
probably developed in Java,
yep,
and now you're going to go
and
build
Spring.
your AI stuff in Python. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's
not
why
gonna
they
work.
failed. Is because they're not connected. You just bolted AI onto your organization, not
Right. It
not
doesn't work that
ingrained
way. You
in your applications.
exactly. So that's part one. And then part two is people I just don't think have a good I mean, right now it is a who's who. It is a it's anybody's guess as to which desktop experience will become the dominant one, right? Cloud Code or Codex or Goose or FP or I mean, there's 1,000 different ways to from your computer as a desktop user, sort of be in the cockpit of the plane of your AI system. Like how do I launch and manage and orchestrate and check in on all this stuff, right? Is it from the command line? Is it from this app? Does it look like an inbox for mail, or does it look like a bulletin board? Does it look like whatever? And I think part of that is that we're still figuring out what the idiom, what the paradigm is. I hate to use big words like that, but what does the paradigm look like? And one thing I saw that was really kind of the best of both worlds is one of your blogs recently. You did a blog on MCP apps, which I thought was brilliant. What are MCP apps like? Is that It sounds like that gives us access to these agentic systems and services, but gives it to us in a way that could sit inside of an existing app.
It's kind of the other way around, but the idea of MCP apps, first off, if you Google MCP apps, you got to be careful
Yeah.
because some people just think of that as apps that use MCP, and that's
Oh,
not what we're talking about. It's more part of the MCP spec. They have this, or I guess it's maybe adjacent to the spec. I honestly don't remember, but it's a way of providing a UI where a UI makes sense, such that if you're in whatever client you're using, whether it be Claude or Goose or whatever, you maybe ask it a question or give it a task to do, and in order to get more information from you, it can pop up a UI right there in the chat as part of the chat. So you're not typing answers to it. You're maybe filling out a form, or you're
yeah.
moving a slider, or you're selecting. One of the examples that they like to show off is a color picker. It's like,
Right.
let me go pick this color here as my favorite color, or what have you. And so,
Right.
but more traditional visual UI embedded right there in part of the chat, rather
Yeah.
than like give you, in the case of the color picker, give you the RGB values. Why don't I just pick the color?
Sure.
Because without that, that's basically your option, is you give it RGB values, which is kind of silly.
So that's like an MCP elicitation, but with a user
Kind of.
interface.
I mean, it's not really a elicitation. It's kind of like it's baked as part of a tool. It's kind of
Okay.
attached to a tool. So whenever the tool that has the UI gets invoked, first thing it does is it throws the UI to the client. The client presents it, and then it can interact with that tool through through that UI.
Okay.
So the example I gave was dice. I said, let's roll some dice.
Yeah.
And the first thing it does is pops up 2 dice and starts rolling them. And then it sends back the context to tell the context that, hey, this is a 2 and a 5 are rolled. And so you can, as part of the chat now knows that a 2 and a 5 are rolled. It's part of the chat now that something visual happened, but now it's part of the chat, and it's part of the context and the history of that conversation. But there's also a button on there. You hit that button, it'll roll the dice again. You don't have to ask it to roll the dice again. You just click that button, it'll roll the dice again, and that is now part of the chat.
Oh, cool. Wow. Okay, so yeah, the idea that you can integrate these like dynamic things. My concern, of course, is when is the first CAPTCHA? When is the first choose all the images that show bicycles thing
Right.
gonna arrive? But you could, right? That's now that you have these widgets that can be embedded in your AI flows.
But it's really cool. I got interested in it because I just happened to read an article. Somebody had posted something about MCP apps. I'm like, oh, what is that? So I went to go look, and I realized how it would work is you ship HTML, CSS, JavaScript, whatever you need to define that UI. You ship that back to the client, and you do that via an MCP resource, which makes sense. Okay, I can do that. The way you attach that resource to the tool is by way of metadata on the tool. And the Java SDK for MCP supported metadata. So that's great. Unfortunately, the Spring AI annotations for MCP did not provide a way of doing that. And I looked around, I went to go see if there's any pull requests, any issues that had been open. Nobody had talked about this. And so I sat down and started making out a plan. And this is over a course of a few days, just digging in the code to see where could I make the changes so it would support this. And I did do a quick and dirty hack. I mean, by hack, I mean I hard coded some values in there just to see if it would work. Right. And once I was satisfied that it would work, I started making out a plan. Okay, these are the files I have to touch. And then I went back to go see if, seriously, it was like over the weekend I was doing this. I went back to go on Monday morning to write up an issue. Right. And I was gonna follow that with a PR. Come to find out, while I was busy putting together my plan, 2 different pull requests came in to do the same thing. Almost exactly the same bits of code that I had touched. And one of them did something really good, but maybe one thing I didn't like, and the other one did some cool stuff, but some other bits I didn't like. So I talked with Christian, and we basically decided to merge those PRs together, take the best of both of them,
Right.
And then we got them merged in, and now they're part of Spring AI.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so good. And that just arrived in M3, which is
That's right.
but now we've got M4. So here we are weeks later, or a week later, whatever. I feel like M3 just dropped a minute ago. So the fact that we have M4, gotta be honest, kind of surprised me because we went for a few months between M1 and M2.
Right. I was a little surprised. I wasn't expecting an M4,
Yeah,
at least not
that
today.
was not today. Yeah, exactly. I was caught me off guard. That's okay. Worst problems to have, but still got me. Okay, so MCP apps. That's like I think going to be really interesting because now it's because you're right. Nobody wants to send in a hex code for color, right?
Mhm.
It feels silly, and similarly, I think app developers want a richer palette. I hate to use that word. Uh, with which to express themselves, besides just text. Text is interesting, but this is why I think a lot of people still feel like it's just easier to do the thing than it is to explain
Mhm.
the thing to AI and have it do it for you.
And I'm,
Um,
as you're probably aware, I've also have written a book on talking to a certain voice device that I won't say whose name it is because she's listening. But it has nothing to do with that particular voice device, but I enjoy voice interfaces. And I think
right,
that's something I would like to be able to do too. And yeah, a lot of these tools will let you talk to them, but it's really weird. It's like, I think it was with Cursor I was trying this. That you can hold down the microphone button, you can talk, and when you let up, it just fills in the blank that you would have typed, and then you still have to submit it. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not how Tony Stark talked to Jarvis.
no,
We,
I want a hood.
I wanted to be just talk and just say things that happen. So on that note, I got me one of these things. It looks like a bomb that I'm going to use, but it's a thing called Open Home. And what Open Home is, I have no idea what they are really. I just found out about them and I got the device, but it basically has speakers, microphones. It's kind of like that other voice device I talked about in a sense, but
Right,
it's all on device, not cloud.
love
And
that.
it
Love
has
that for
it.
everybody.
You can talk to. You can basically you can have it if you write a what they call a ability. You can have it talk to something on the cloud, but
Oh,
it
nice.
natively does not. And my thinking, I haven't done this yet because I just got this before I went on vacation, haven't had a chance to do much with it. But yeah, my thinking right now is take that example from my book where I ask it questions about board games,
Right,
have this kind of hook onto that Spring AI app. And then in the middle of a game, if I have a question about the rules, I can just ask
what?
and it'll out loud say it because I don't want to go. I don't want to when I'm in the middle of a game pull out the rule book and read, which is what I currently do, which is kind of annoying.
Right,
But I also don't want to like pick up my phone or get my computer and type a question either. I just want to ask
right.
my
Well, can
answer.
you demonstrate it? Like, what does it look like if it
Oh, it's
when
not
it's
plugged in
working?
right now. And
Oh, okay.
I
Never
do know
mind.
one thing it does that's really weird and make at first it made me feel uncomfortable, but then I started thinking
Right,
I'm not as uncomfortable as I was. Is unlike that other device or any most other devices in that nature, there's no wake word. It's always listening.
yeah.
And
See,
you
I
think,
don't know if I like that.
but it's all on device. It's not going to
Oh,
the cloud. And so it actually
true.
can remember. There was an example that they gave where it remembered that a conversation that was had in the room, not with the device, but the device remembered that later. It says, "Hey, by the way, your wife said you needed eggs or something,"
Really?
and
Oh,
it
that's
would,
actually kind of useful.
yeah. And there's also somebody built really cool ability for it, which is both creepy and cool at the same time. Is it's a
Right.
baby monitor? It's a smart baby monitor. So if the baby starts
Okay.
crying, it will talk to the baby in a cloned version of the mom's voice to soothe the baby. And if the
Oh,
baby
that's creepy
calm
though.
down, if the baby doesn't calm down, then it'll notify the mom to come take care of it.
I don't know. I think you lost me right there. That one is.
It's creepy,
Oh,
from a technical perspective, kind of cool.
yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. The fact that it can do that is good. I just wonder what the kid's gonna think when they realize they're talking to a robot instead of mom.
Well,
Uh,
true.
like, oh, I mean that's
Yeah, I'm not saying I
by
like
definition.
the use case as a use case, but as the use case as a wow, you can do that with tech. That's cool. I like that.
Yes, that is interesting. And actually, maybe if we get used to it, like, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not thinking about it right. Maybe we need to see what it feels like when it's actually happening to you. Like, maybe it's fine. Maybe we get used to having AI step in and fill in the gaps for some of our life. Interesting.
Anyway, I was like,
Interesting.
that's what I was getting at is I don't think that typing into a chat and reading the results is the ideal user interface for AI.
Right. No, I
And I
agree.
think
100%.
voice is a good interface, but when you need it, a UI element, a more traditional UI element, is also helpful.
100%. Right. To make it more natural. That's that MIT thing, right? If you can bring it to where the users are, they can do better things with it, right? Interesting. And this is, I think, where I think the MCP spec, because again, tool calling is interesting. Um, but what's more interesting is giving us a standard way to describe interactions between clients and AI and the business logic. And if you scale that out to become a discussion of the interface itself, I mean that I think that's really interesting. That possibility is endlessly interesting to me. Um, okay, so you've got this book. Are you going to cover? Are you doing 2.0? I mean, what's the plan? Because that
No,
book,
it
it's
it, it covers the 1.0 dot something, whatever it was when the book went to print.
right.
And
Uh,
2.0 hadn't even really formed at that point yet.
well, I know, but I mean, are you going to work? Are you working on 2.0?
Oh,
Because that's
am I going to work on 2.0? Well, the answer is yes. That I anticipate that will happen. Am I doing that right now? Not really, except in the sense that I do collect a lot of notes.
right.
And I
Right.
tinker with things. I have this notebook full of things of, here's how you do this. And I have
Right.
started thinking about, okay, where would this particular new feature fit in the book? Those thoughts have crossed my mind, but actually doing work, I haven't started on it yet. I feel like I barely finished the first one. So
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, congratulations on that. Fundamentally a lot of the core concepts have not changed. So anybody who
yeah.
wants a good book on Spring AI, they should definitely buy
In
Spring
fact,
AI in
I can't
action.
think of anything in the book that's no longer valid. There just may be something new and shiny that isn't covered in there yet.
And even there, you'll like all the stuff we talked about in Spring AI security, except for the MCP security, get a lot of that gets plugged in as tools, which you'll learn about in the book, right?
Yeah, the book covers
Things like that.
MCP. It just doesn't cover the MCP annotations.
Oh well, I mean, still, you can do it both ways. It's not like one's worse than
Yeah.
the other.
I
So
think it still
yeah,
uses. I think it does still cover using the regular annotation for like tools and whatnot. It just and the because you could still even in 1.0 use at tool to define a tool in an MCP server. You would just have to also declare another bean to make that thing happen. Where with MCP tool, you don't have to do that.
I see. Yeah, it gets easier, but it's still conceptually very useful to understand the basics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like it. I'm a big fan of your work. Obviously, I think anybody who's ever used Spring was probably benefited from your awesome work. So I'll be looking forward to getting my copy of that Spring AI in action. The the world is kind of a different place. I mean, obviously, Skills came out in January, but you know what else came out in January? I think Open Molt, Claude, Book, whatever.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I honestly have only recently started digging into these things, and at first I'm like, "What is this thing?" And I just haven't. I had so many other things going on that I only had time to just tinker with it, and which is all I'm at now, as I've only tinkered with it. And I got frustrated with OpenClaw because I was following their instructions to the letter, and I still couldn't get it to work, and I didn't have time to mess with it, so I gave up.
Oh
Um,
no.
but Claw Runner, which was for just last week known as Java Claw,
Right.
um,
From our buddy
I, I
Ronald
did
Heiser at
run.
Job Runner.
I have run Claw Runner,
Yeah.
and it's interesting. I mean, it works as advertised. I will say that the biggest challenge I had a little trouble setting it up. For some reason, I went through the wizard, the onboarding wizard, did everything, and then when I was done, it told me that I hadn't set anything up yet, and so I had to like do it
What?
a second time, and then it worked. But I don't know what that was. But then I was asking it questions. I was asking it to update me on stuff. So here's the situation. Literally, this was last night. I was up
Right.
late. I was watching the Denver Nuggets play, and Jamal Murray was having his second. The game would end with his second highest score, highest number of points in a game in his career.
Right.
53 points is how the game ended for him. And I saw it heading that way. And so while I'm messing with Claw Runner, I said, monitor the game and let me know when Jamal Murray hits 50 points.
It can watch TV for you?
No, it's not watching TV, but it's monitoring like the box scores.
Oh, okay. It has access to feeds. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And so I asked it to do that. And it was every minute it would come back and inform me that with this much time left in the game, he's at 47 points or something like that.
Oh,
he's
wow.
not there yet. And that was working great and awesome. And I was like really pleased with how it was working until all of a sudden it consulted a different feed, a different box score feed, which was actually giving it information about a previous game that was played with the Dallas Mavericks, not the one that played last night. And it said the game's over, so he didn't make it to 50 points. He only had 16 points. I'm like, wait, what? A minute ago, you said he had 47 points.
Yeah.
Now one or the other. 16. How did he lose that many points? And also, the game's not over. I'm watching it right now. There's still like 4 minutes left.
What the heck?
And it said, oh, you're right. And so it consulted a different feed and got the answer back. And I thought, okay, maybe it's on track. And then a few minutes later, it did the same kind of thing. I'm like, okay, well, it's one of those situations where maybe what I need to do is help it a little bit by saying, okay, here's the feed you want for that. But it was late and the game was over. And actually, the game wasn't over, but it was getting good. And I had to focus on that. So
that's interesting. It can tap you in. It can say, okay, here's the part you're waiting for. Because like, no offense to sports enthusiasts or anything, but I don't watch sports, so I don't know when I've never gotten to the end of a game successfully, right? I fall asleep too quickly, so I would love something that would say, hey, come on, come back, come check it out. It's getting good,
Yeah.
I'm told this is what happens at the end of the game. I'll find out one day.
But it was an awesome game, and it was cool to see Claw Runner at least try to keep me updated.
Right. And got to give it credit. It tried, and it did most. Would you call it a 90% success rate?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that if I had guided a little bit more and told it, here, use the ESPN box scores or some specific box score thing, maybe it would have been more successful.
Oh yeah. I mean, isn't that kind of interesting? There's two schools of thought right now around, do you give the model iterative, do you let the model accrete knowledge iteratively over a number of steps, or do you try and front load it with as much information as possible and do a one shot, right? And I don't know that any single thing works conclusively, but it's been a very interesting discussion, Yeah. I don't know where you stand on that.
And I think it depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, I'm starting to think because so much of the utility we get out of Spring AI, what people don't realize is that it's agentic already. Even if you're just using the chat client, when I define agentic, I define it as you're making multiple interactions with the model, right?
Right.
There's a iterative round trip between you and the model, and even just getting structured output, or tool calling or things like this. That's all multiple passes between you and the model.
Yeah, I read a couple of different definitions. In fact, I've read probably hundreds of definitions of what agent means, and they're all different. But the one that kind of stuck with me, even though it's probably overly simplistic, I think it still applies, is an agent is an LLM with tools running in a loop. And
exactly.
And at first I thought, well, that's just stupid. That can't be right. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, no, it really kind of is. I mean, the tool, when you say tools, it doesn't necessarily mean, tools that we call them tools, previously known as functions, but it has the ability to draw information from somewhere or to take action somewhere, which is what tools do. And it runs in a loop. And I think the thing that got me stuck was two things. First off, I just assumed it just went off and does stuff, and I don't have a part in it. No, the loop could include a human. In fact, it probably should in a lot of cases include a human. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm a little better off. And also, it's not an endless loop. There's an end condition. Either it succeeded in
Right.
achieving its goal, and therefore the loop is over, or it failed and it can't pick up and run a different direction. It basically has exhausted all of its options, and it says, I'm sorry, I can't do that. So
Right.
it's not an endless loop.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I don't think so either. It's just
into account, I'm like, yeah, it's an LLM with tools running in a loop. That makes sense.
yeah. Exactly. And I think people are doing that already. That's why I call my Spring AI, even Hello World, in a sense, is a very trivial
Yeah,
agent.
it's a trivial agent. Yeah.
Maybe not Hello World exactly, but Hello World with structured output mapping would certainly
I
qualify.
don't even think structured output is necessary. It's just it did
Any
something.
interaction.
The goal was
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah. The world's a different place than it was when you and I started talking about Spring AI and all the good stuff that was happening in that ecosystem. Just a few short, feels like minutes, but it's been now. I mean, when did we start Spring AI? Was that 2023? When did we start working on it? I don't remember.
It was 2024.
2024, maybe. Yeah. Is that the? Well, that's when the world found out about it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I think it's been at least 2 years. And the world is just night and day. I mean, I don't think anybody thought anybody would ever come along and dislodge OpenAI from what at the time felt like a insurmountable moat, a lead.
Right.
But now it's anybody's race. It's a totally different world. So with that set up, do you want to do any? Do you want to engage in any naval gazing? Any predictions on where we're going to go next? What's the next big thing?
I
If you don't want to, it's fine.
honestly, you say the world's changed in the last couple of years. The world's changed since you and I started talking today. I'm sure.
Oh,
this is
true.
This is such a fast moving space, like insanely so, more so than anything I've ever seen before.
Right.
And so I'm not even trying to predict. Honestly, I'm just trying to keep up.
Right. It's true. It's very difficult to keep up. I like your MCP apps thing though. I think that was this opened up a lot of ideas for me, and that it speaks to a problem, which is that there's a dissonance. There's a dissonance between what we know this thing can do and how it's actually been made available to us to do. And if you can unify that, if you can, because we have iPhones, desktop apps, Androids. Right. Web browsers, these are the things with which we traffic in data, right? And functionality. And so something needs to. We can't just all reinvent the chatbot. I guess we could. We all reinvent our own web pages, but it feels like this is a simpler primitive. Maybe we could unify.
And maybe this isn't predicting anything more than just my wish list. I like what MCP Apps does in the sense that I've never thought chat was the perfect way of interacting with AI, but It is a common way. It's the way everybody does it. So injecting something richer into that gets me to a better place than just simply typing, like I said, RGB codes. But I would also like to say it'd be really cool. So if anybody's listening and can make this happen, that'd be awesome. It'd be really cool if there was sort of a I don't know what the right word is. Multimodal is what comes to mind, but
right.
That's the right word. I would like it to where, depending on the circumstance, on what the need is, if it needs to, it can pop up something on my phone. It can pop up something on my desktop. It can pop up something on my TV, whatever. As part of this interaction I'm having with AI, which, by the way, I'm also talking to now because I already talked about speech, where I'm not necessarily typing to it. I'm talking to it, and it just pops up something on my phone or whatever device is the most appropriate device for that interaction. And that way I'm not just stuck in the chat.
Exactly. Yeah. Like being able to, that's another one. That's a huge one is speech. And you were working on that long before the AI stuff. And I imagine nobody is better situated to take advantage of it than your audience, because you can now unify these two, human-like speech with user interfaces optimized for speech. super good. Okay, I'll take it. That sounds like a good point. Actually, it sounds like you don't like to predict, and yet somehow, like Nostradamus, you have been talking about the things that get us to the right place all these years. And this is why I'm so glad I got to talk to you.
Yeah.
Um, anything else I should mention? Anything else people should know about?
Well, I mean, the only thing that I'm doing right now is I'm very busy preparing for the Arc of AI conference in Austin in
Oh,
April.
that's a good one.
Looking forward to that. I'll be
Um,
talking about MCP and agents and Spring AI and
oh yeah,
all sorts of
that's
good stuff.
our friend Dr. Subramaniam's
Uh-huh.
conference. He's Dr. Subramaniam to his friends and Dr. Subramaniam to everybody else. So there's a difference there. You can see in the pronunciation.
Right.
Anyway, that's a great show. He knows the stuff. I did that one last year. I'll be out of the country in April, sadly, but that's a great show. So I'm sad I can't be there, but yeah, that show. Where else are I gonna? That brings us to the next question: are you on the internet or in the real world? Do you want to be found? And if so, where do people find you?
Well, the best place to find me is if you go to habuma.com. From there, there are links to all my social media outlets.
What is Habuma, by the way? It's your online handle, Habuma, as
Right.
long as I've known you. But what is it?
It's back in the old days of the internet when everybody was getting a domain. I felt like I should get one, but craigwalls.com seems kind of stupid, so I didn't want to get that. And
Oh,
so I had a friend of mine who his name is Sam and his wife's name is Carrie, and they had a son named Nate, and he went with Sackernat for his. And while I didn't have any kids at the time, I did have 3 dogs: Harley, Buster, and Max. And so I took the first 2 letters of Harley, Buster, and Max, and it became Habuma. They've all
oh
moved
my!
on, so to speak, but yeah,
Oh, but they live with you forever in their names.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay, my
Um,
friend. Thank you as always for your time. It's been a privilege. I learned. I mean, I'll link people to that blog quickly. Spring. By the way, what do you think of the new Spring.io redesign? Did people
oh, I
notice?
like
I
it.
think they
I
should.
mean, it was. I think
Yeah.
it was just subtle enough at first. I didn't notice it, and also I saw the talk about it while I was out of town. I was in
Yeah.
Disney World last week, and so Disney World's not the place for me to go look at
No.
websites.
Mhm.
So when I first looked at it, I really didn't see a whole lot of difference, but I did notice it was well done. It was nice. It's all the same colors and stuff, so that's why I mean it didn't look much different. But I was also looking at it
It's
on my phone while I was in line for a ride. So
right. I think it sings a bit more on the desktop, if I'm honest, but it's great either way. Um. Okay. There's the blog. Go read it now. You don't have to read it, Craig. You wrote it, but everybody else,
I
you
might
get on
read it
that.
anyway.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day and a great weekend. Bye bye.
Bye.